Vertical transportation is an incredibly important aspect of survival Minecraft, so in this video I'll show you the fastest way to do it and also how to build elevators in this Minecraft guide. Now, vertical transportation inside of Minecraft is basically any method of getting from one place to a higher up Y level without having to jump or rigorously navigate. So for instance, one of the simplest forms of vertical transportation is a slab staircase, where you have a bunch of slabs that are near each other, and because of the slab slightly increasing height when it goes up half a block, then more or less you can go up and down it without having to jump, and you can also ascend at a fairly rapid pace. However, to over double the speed that you're going up at, of course you would use stairs. We could run up these slabs at the exact same speed that we're running up those stairs, and go up the same amount of height. We're going up here, you can see that, we're going up incredibly quickly, and because we're going up one block for every block we go forward, it's perfect 45-degree upwards motion. However, there's a couple other interesting ways of getting higher up in Minecraft. So for instance, you can do a trapdoor staircase. Now this one does unfortunately use jumping, but it is still kind of a funny way of navigating upwards, where you basically look down, flip down the trapdoor, and by using this, you can elevate and also go down by flipping the trapdoors closed and jumping on top of them, and then going down by spamming right click to close all of them. And although transportation methods like this aren't necessarily that useful, they are quite fun and good ways of maybe including a novelty means of transportation. Then there's also the climbable transportation blocks. That would be ladders, weeping vines, twisting vines, and standard vines. We'll try up vines for now. Now, vines and ladders work basically the exact same way. You will notice that ladders are actually a little bit of a larger hitbox because we cannot move if we press forward onto the ladder if we're on the vine currently. So you're closer to the rock with the vine, and you're a bit further away from it with the ladder here. The twisting vine, although it's not the exact same type of structure, is actually one of the best methods of going up and down without, let's say, scaffolding, because it doesn't need to be supported by anything except for a block at the bottom, and you do go up it at the exact same speed as you would, let's say, a vine or a ladder. The other method is a weeping vine, and the weeping vine is basically just the opposite of a twisting vine, which just makes it not incredibly useful, but you can still go up and down it like that. You can also make what's known as a cave vine with glowberries if you want by planting those down, and you can also climb up this, and this works identical to all these other materials, sort of like the weeping vines. And of course with all these you just have to be aware if someone breaks the bottom block, the entire thing will break incredibly quickly. The final method of vertical transportation that is sort of built into the game with the block is scaffolding. Now scaffolding wasn't necessarily made for vertical transportation only, more so about a quick and easy way to navigate around your builds, but still scaffolding can be a good block if you want to get into a certain area, and so because of that it makes it quite a useful transportation type. And I've seen people that just dig a one block hole all the way down into the ground, then fill it up with scaffolding and use that as sort of an elevator shaft or as some sort of a simple travel solution. And of course also with scaffolding, if you break the bottom block, the entire thing will break like that. And there's also a couple other obvious ways of going upwards in Minecraft, but as well as those, there's two ways of making what looks like a true elevator. First one is a bubble elevator, and that's what I'm sure a lot of people are watching this video for, is to learn how to make this. There's three types. I'll start with the first one. More or less, to build a water elevator, you want to first place down a sand block at the bottom of it, where you want to go up and down from. But at this point we're actually going to have another block next to that. It doesn't have to necessarily be sand actually, just something that kelp can be planted down on. Then we're going to surround this in glass all the way around like this, and make it go as high up as we want. This does not have to be glass, I'm just using glass for raised visibility. In fact, anything in the game that would hold in the water would work just as well. Anyway, once we've made the elevator shaft as tall as we want it, place a water block at the top, then go all the way down to the bottom of this and start placing kelp on the blocks that you want to be part of the elevator. Basically the kelp will turn this flowing water into water sources. You'll notice here on this flowing water we can't place the kelp, so what we'll do is we'll simply grab a water source from down here, place it in the corner, then replace kelp in all those positions to make sure that all these are water sources. And once we've placed down all the kelp blocks, that everything here is a water source, we'll then break the two blocks at the bottom here, and we'll place down the piece of soul sand and a magma block. Now soul sand makes you go upwards, and magma blocks make you go downwards. Of course magma blocks can be found in the nether and also at the bottom of ocean caves sometimes, and with the soul sand that is found exclusively in the nether. However, to make a nice entrance for this so we're not just going down to the bottom and getting hurt by it, what you want to do is grab some signs and break one or two of the glass blocks here, then place a sign on the side of that, and we'll do that over here as well. And once we've done that, placing some blocks on the side, we have an easy entrance entrance elevator. We can go here and then get out. You can also have multiple stops where there's areas that are blocked up by the signs that you can get out at. If you don't want to get hurt on the magma, make sure to shift. Also, the bubble column can go from the bottom of the world to the very top, so you could technically have a bubble elevator that goes all the way up past 300 blocks in the air. If you have a lot of honey in your Minecraft world, or you play in creative, you can make what looks like a waterless elevator with a bunch of honey blocks. Simply go into the corner here and you'll be shot up the side, and more or less what's happening here is that your hitbox is actually going right through the honey. So the way a honey block works is the side of our hitbox goes into the block somewhat. So when we're in the corner here, part of our hitbox is then technically inside of that bubble column, making us go upwards. And so because of that, you can use it as a perfect seamless elevator. And as well as flying up there with the bubbles, you can also use the honey on the elevator to descend. This also works on any other block that's not a full hitbox. So for instance, something that works just as well, although visually it's not as cool, is using walls. Now for instance, right here I'm pushing it forward as far as I can, and I'm just not entering into the water there, so we're not actually in the water, we're still in the block where these walls are, but we can still go up this water here. So this can also be a really cool way of going up and down in your world, just depending on what you prefer. You could even have a water block at the bottom, so you can go down your elevator covered in honey, and you can also fall at the bottom in the water source without any danger. Simply go up and down by slightly moving your keys. So bubble elevators are great, but what about an actual elevator? Now most people would assume that building an elevator in Minecraft that looks like an elevator is quite difficult, but I've come up with a design myself that looks fairly easy and fully has the appearance of an elevator. So for instance, here it is. We can go inside the elevator here, press the button, we'll start going upwards, and you can see here we can not only look out the window as we go upwards, we're also fully trapped here, so you can see every single wall is covered, then we're out at the top. Now let's say the elevator is going down below there, and we're at the top and there's nowhere for us to go, but we want to still have the elevator. All we have to do is press the button here. It will call the elevator, making it go back up, and once it gets to the top, we can simply go inside, press the button, and then we're inside this elevator that has every single side be covered in blocks, making it really have a true elevator feel. And of course this works calling the elevator from the top or the bottom, just whatever you'd prefer. There's also no height limit to how tall this has to be made, although this is quite a short elevator. You could make this from the very bottom of the world to the very top if you wanted. Now this elevator is made out of two different parts: the actual elevator, or the redstone machine that goes up and down, and then the elevator shaft, the redstone behind making it be recalled, and also the part that makes it look like you're actually in an elevator instead of being just on a strange looking flying machine. If you want something incredibly simple, this is really all the design utilizes, is a furnace and a way of triggering the observer on either side with a simple 2 observer, 2 piston, and 4 honey block or slime block elevator design. So for instance right here, we can trigger that trapdoor, it'll go upwards successfully, then when it reaches the top it'll stop, and if we want it to go down again, we can flick this, it'll go down again, reach the bottom, and again we can flick this to make it go up and down as we wish. And building this design is of course incredibly simple, certainly not the most optimal design, but it is something you can do if you want to make something that's very easy. The only problem with this is it's very hard to flick the trapdoor in time, as of course to flick this you have to sort of be near the bottom and not on there, although you can easily solve this problem by putting a block on the side, then flicking that trapdoor down there. You can go upwards while you're sitting on this block, and as it goes to the top, you can then also flick this to go downwards again. That's more or less off of this space that we build this elevator. First I'll show you how to make this really simple design, and then how to make the real elevator design. So all you'll need is some temporary blocks, 2 furnaces, 2 sticky pistons, 2 observers, 4 honey blocks, 2 acacia trapdoors, a building block that can be on the side of here that you go up, and also stairs to get onto that. So we'll simply start by placing a furnace and a trapdoor next to it, of any type really, doesn't have to be acacia. Then we're going to place some stairs right here, 2 honey blocks on top of the furnace, and then a polished andesite or whatever our building block is on top of that. While looking at the trapdoor, we want to place an observer facing downwards, then a sticky piston on top of it that'll be facing upwards, then 2 honey blocks on the side here, although you might have to use temporary blocks to do this, as of course you cannot jump on honey blocks. Also there's actually no need to use honey blocks, you can use slime blocks if you want. Honey blocks just work the exact same way. Then you want to place a temporary block all the way up here and go down a little bit, and place the observer facing that dirt, then have a sticky piston facing this observer, and the flying machine itself is basically done. Then you want to just make a dirt pillar next to it that goes as high as you want the elevator to travel. Once you've gone up here, where that honey block is, you want to place a furnace, and next to it you want to place a trapdoor. Once you've done that, then you can go all the way back down. And that is this incredibly simple elevator done. Simply get on the block of the elevator, click that trapdoor, you'll be brought all the way to the top here, and again you can use slime or honey, whatever you prefer. Then you're at the top. You could of course have a little station here where you get off at, maybe some blocks that are around here. Then flick the trapdoor again and you go downwards. So although this does not recall the elevator, it is incredibly simple and a good solution if you want a very quick and easy elevator design. But now for the real looking elevator design, what do you need for that? So if you want to make an elevator that's this exact size and only goes up 12 blocks, then you'll want these exact materials here. But for every single additional layer of height you want to add, you're going to want 1 glass, 4 building blocks, 7 terracotta that's glazed of any type, and 2 observers. So you can just add that onto the design, and I'll just show you how to make the 12 block tall one, but you can add as much height as you want or even get rid of some. So to build this design, you need 2 stacks and 3 of glazed terracotta. Then you want 1 light block of any type. This is somewhat decorative but helps mobs not spawn. Then you want a stack and 21 of any building block. Then 7 glass of any type. You want 2 buttons, a trapdoor, 32 observers, 2 furnaces, a repeater, a piston, 16 redstone, then some other random building blocks for sort of the outside of the elevator to make it make more sense to have platforms to land on and things like this. And for the flying machine itself, you'll want 4 polished andesite, 8 slime blocks, 2 sticky pistons, and 2 observers. So we'll grab all the materials except for the ones for the flying machine because that's built last, and start on this design. First we'll decide to have our entrance here because why not, and we're going to place a sea lantern or whatever your lighting block is in the ground, or maybe the floor of your building, of course, whatever you want. We just mined out 1 block to do that. Then grab a furnace and place it directly in front of that sea lantern, and place this trapdoor right on top of that sea lantern. Now you want to grab your glazed terracotta, and if you're wondering why we're using glazed terracotta, it's because it does not stick to slime blocks. Place it around the corners like this, then also place it 1 block forward like this and like that. Then you want to place a terracotta block on all the edges here, except for once you get over here, to place the blocks 1 more forward. Place a piece of dirt there, and then also place the glazed terracotta on that dirt, removing the temporary block. And repeat this twice more, going upwards by 2 blocks all the way around the edge here, to sort of start this elevator shaft, except for go to this 1 block on the edge, break it, and replace it with our polished andesite, or whatever your elevator building blocks are. Now we're at the part of the design where how tall you make this depends on how tall you want it to be, but for whatever height you do, the base pattern is going to be 7 of the terracotta going back here like this, then 2 of building blocks right here, and you want to make that go just a little bit higher around here to more or less make the entrance of the elevator to be about 3 blocks tall. And after that point, then we just get into the repeating pattern. So for instance, right here, we're going to do 7 blocks of the area that has glass. This exact part here would be what you'd make it taller and taller. So for instance, if you wanted it to be, let's say, 50 blocks tall, then you would add 50 more layers in this section. But for this main part of the elevator that isn't the entrance or exit, I'm just going to have it be 7 blocks tall, with the total height that you're climbing to only be 12 blocks. And we're going to finish surrounding that. Now that I've gotten to this point, I now need to make the entrance way, so we're going to put some more blocks here. This is where the elevator will end up. And you can also continue to finish that layer up as well. Now we're going to make the area where the elevator arrives at the highest point. So basically go up 3 blocks around here. This is going to be sort of where the elevator doors open up. So then finish up all of the glazed terracotta, put 2 pieces on either side there, then break these pieces and put our final furnace at the top, and place some andesite on either side like this, and place some blocks here, putting 6 more blocks at the top to simply cap it off. Now using some of our additional building blocks, we're just going to make a small platform at the top and bottom here so we can more easily work between them. And of course these can be built however you want, but I just have them designed like this. Back at the very bottom of the elevator, we're going to place a piece of redstone dust in the corner and a piece of dirt next to it temporarily. We're then going to place an observer facing down towards that piece of redstone dust. And from this point, keep placing observers into each other, going all the way up to almost the top of the elevator until we have 2 glazed terracotta on the side here. Then you can place any block you want on top of there, or maybe a glazed glazed terracotta if you want, it doesn't really matter. And you want to extend the wall over here a little bit where the elevator exit is, just so you have more room to cover up the redstone. From here you want to put 3 blocks on the side, then 2 blocks down here, and have each one of these have redstone dust on top of them, except we can actually break the redstone dust on the middle right here. Then using dirt or whatever material you prefer for temporary building blocks, you want to get below there and have your observers facing upwards, so you're basically placing them like this. Then you can break that dirt block and look upwards and place those observers, more or less getting a straight line of observers that goes almost all the way down to the ground. And finally stop where it's at the exact same height as this one, just 1 block away from the ground. And once we're back here at the top, we can break this piece of andesite that we started this observer line at, and place a piece of redstone right there to connect it all the way here. Now going to the elevator entrance, we'll place a dirt block and we'll break this block next to it, and have an observer facing into the dirt block. Break that dirt block and put a button that is on top of the observer. We're also going to extend the side wall here as well, so we have a larger area to cover up the redstone. Place a temporary block there as well. Break this, place an observer, and put a button on top of that observer like this, so we can press it and that'll power this directly. You'll actually notice now that we're at the top here, if we press this button and look down, that trapdoor will turn on and off. We're going to bridge out with dirt into the elevator shaft a little bit, and we're going to break this block right here, and then place a piston there. And that's just going to be another method of activating the flying machine, as a trapdoor doesn't work in this position. Now we just have to get the redstone so that the button at the bottom will activate things. Now you want to go behind the wall at the bottom of the elevator, place a block right here, and place a block here. Then using temporary blocks, basically just make a small staircase leading downwards. Once we've done that, take your redstone dust and make a trail leading all the way up here, that then connects to this block here. This is very important. Make sure to have a repeater facing into here and have 2 redstone dust right behind it. And outside of the flying machine, that should be the elevator's redstone done. So we'll just grab the 2 observers, 2 sticky piston, 4 polished andesite, and 8 slime blocks of our design and use them to build this elevator. Start by going down to the bottom of the elevator and have an observer facing the trapdoor, then a sticky piston on top of that and 2 slime blocks here, but not before placing 2 slime blocks down here as well. Then what you want to do is temporarily break some of this glazed terracotta, place a block up here that's also temporary, have an observer facing that and a sticky piston facing that, break that block, replace all the glazed terracotta that's here, and that's more or less the elevator completely done. All we have to do now is just finish up where the elevator itself is. So place a slime block here and a standard block in front of that, then place a block on top of that slime block, slime blocks in a C shape like this, and a block here as well as here, and that should be the elevator done. We press the button and we go upwards just like this. It seems to work perfectly. And once we get to the very top of the elevator, we can press that again. It'll go downwards all by itself and we can see it just go all the way down. But if we're up here and we want to recall that elevator, we press the button and it'll come right back up for us to enter into it. We'll try it from the bottom here as well. If we press this button, it will successfully recall the elevator down, as you can see right there. We can get in it and we now have a fully functioning 2-way elevator, which I think is pretty cool. This is possible to be made honestly relatively easily inside of Minecraft. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this elevator guide, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.